The Sennebogen 8130 EQ is a big material handling machine. It can handle up to 10 tonnes at a maximum reach of 27 metres. This model of it comes in a big box, but it's actually not too heavy. It's in the Sennebogen Go for Green colour scheme, and there's a few details about the real machine printed on the box. Inside the box is the usual pair of expanded polystyrene trays, so let's take the lid off and see what's inside. There are no instructions and the model takes up nearly all of the tray. But you can't lift it straight out because it's retained in position by some tightly wound ties. Well, after the usual struggle they get undone, and after a few choice words the model is ready to be lifted out. It's a large model, but it's not quite as heavy as expected, and that's because quite a bit of it is made of plastic. And we'll see what's what later in the review. In addition to the model, which is nearly fully assembled, there are a couple of other parts in the box. One is an optional pedestal base which can be fitted instead of the crawlers, and there's a bag with a couple of bits. The only other packaging to remove is some tight plastic film, and that was there to keep the crawler tracks in place during shipping. The only assembly required is to fit the roof on the power pack container. The crawler tracks are metal with some bolt head details on the pads, and the track frames are reasonably detailed too. The ballast boxes and pylon supports on both base units are plastic, but there are nicely shaped pads on the pedestal base. The pylon looks good with its bolted connection, and the intermediate platform has an excellent mesh flooring. There are more mesh floors on the cab deck, and all of the handrails and ladders are plastic. The cab is also plastic, and it has a detailed interior. The power pack container looks good and it's got some nice grills, but again it's an all plastic part. The plastic on the model mostly looks good, but the handrails are not quite so good, but at least they don't break easily. The big counterweight blocks at the rear are metal and they have some very sharp graphics. There are plenty of hydraulic lines modelled, which is good, but they don't do the real machine justice because they're untidy. Things look neater on the metal boom and stick, where the hydraulics are nicely detailed. The hydraulics run right down to the clamshell grab, which is a completely metal part. For a change, let's start by seeing how big the model is. It stands 21 inches or over 50 centimetres tall, and end to end it gets up to 2 feet or 60 centimetres. The crawler tracks have too much stiffness to roll on a smooth surface, but they can certainly be turned by a hand, and they're spring loaded to keep the tension. Let's now try out the tracks on the specially prepared CranesEtcTV rough surface. And here the tracks are able to bite, so they do roll a bit, but they are still quite stiff and don't roll freely. The 8130 turns smoothly, but it's better not to rotate it too much in one direction as it loosens the screw. The boom and stick move well, although it's a bit jerky rather than smooth, and the rams won't hold a pose when the reach is big. It's really only the ram on the main boom that's the issue, and we'll see a partial solution to that shortly. When the boom is raised and the radius is smaller, then the model will hold a pose, but it's probably likely to bleed down over time. The really interesting part of the real machine is the equilibrium balance system, and you can see how that works on the model. The counterweight on the back is on a pivot and it moves in and out as the stick moves in and out, keeping the machine in balance at all times. This feature makes the real machine very energy efficient, and it's interesting to see it working on the model. The partial solution to maintaining the boom position is to use a supplied pin in the cylinder jacket, and although it's a bit of a tight fit, it does work. Of course, the downside is you can only pin it in a couple of defined positions, so the posing possibilities are more limited. The clamshell bucket is a good piece, and it certainly spins easily, and it also swings at the end of the stick. Each half opens independently and it opens up to a very wide angle. Then you can close it up and cut the end of your finger off. Another interesting feature on the model is that the roof of the power pack is removable, and that lets you see the electric motor, the switch cabinets and hydraulic tank. A nice touch is the hydraulic hoses that run out to the boom. There's another small feature around the model, and that's the little floodlights, and they're mounted on little pivots so you can alter the angle. The other unusual feature of this model is that it comes with 2 different bases that you can use, and the alternative is a 4-point stand which has got adjustable pads on each corner. So you can use those to level up the model, and there's no unsightly screw threads showing. To swap the bases you need a giant crane hand to put the machine over on its side, and then a giant screwdriver hand to get the screw out from underneath. Once that's done, you can remove the pylon from the base, but you firstly need to disconnect the access ladder, which is fixed to the ballast block. Installing the pylon base is just a reverse procedure. You could just drop it in, and you need to reconnect the access ladder. This proved to be a tight fit on the review model because it's a plastic on plastic part, so a little bit of trimming was needed off the end of the bracket. Once that's done, it's best to tighten up the screw to make sure the model is secure and stable. If you want, you can swap back and forth between the two bases to your heart's content. And if you do it really fast, you can even make it look like you've got two models. Time for the genuine imitation real life test, and here the 8130 picks up some rubbish. And here we see the operator attempting to put the rubbish into a tipper truck. Unfortunately, the operator's not the most skilled guy, but give him a little bit of time and he gets there. Although, to be honest, the operator wants to go into the dump truck along with the rest of the rubbish. This is an interesting model from ROS, and it's impressive and looks good. It does have a high plastic content, and no doubt that helps to keep the price down a bit. And overall, it has some good details and functionality, and is recommended.